Hello and welcome to the Hellraiser blog. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's blog, please hit subscribe and hit the thumbs up and hit the bell so you get notifications for future blogs. Today's blog, I'm going to look at an issue that has come up over the last sort of week, which is the future of DAZN. And DAZN is a streaming service. They stream boxing all over the world, and that they were due to be moving into all these different territories. And certainly, I would say, largely due. I think they were probably in trouble before the pandemic, but the pandemic would have really made things 100 times worse, because a channel like that is going to be almost exclusively dependent on subscribers. And when you're organising a big event, you'll add X amount of subscribers to your channel each time, and if they carry on subscribing, you obviously then stop being in debt and start making profit. Leonard Blavatnik is a very clever guy. He bought Warner Brothers at a time. It was 10 years after the Napster. I don't remember Napster. It was like a streaming service for music, which basically was cutting out record labels, and then meant that a lot of people in the music industry were sort of saying, well, it's just not going to be possible for us to make the money that we've made traditionally. It's time to get out of that industry, not move into it. But he moved in and he made it successful. I mean, he doubled the value of Warner, doubled in the time that he had it. But okay, so here we got a situation where he's pumped a load of money in, and now he's been in the Financial Times basically hawking for investors to come in, either to buy DAZN in its entirety or to come in as a partner and pump some money in. Now, Leonard Blavatnik is a very clever guy. He would be a very good person to be able to attract investment normally. I think with the state of affairs of this coronavirus, if I had 50 billion tucked under my mattress, which I don't, I would not be looking to pump it into boxing. Boxing's very risky at the best of times. I mean, you think of like football, if you have that sort of money, you could buy Manchester United or Newcastle United or Arsenal, and Arsenal was here 100 years ago, it will be here in 100 years' time. The Premier League's well established. You're not reliant on one individual, you've got a whole team, and those players, because of the structure of football, are heavily dependent on towing the line. If FIFA tells them you've got to do this, they've got to do it. But if FIFA says you've got to behave like this, or you must do this, you must act in this way, or you cannot take part in our organisation's competitions, they have to do it. They can't really, they don't have much room for leverage, because they would just be blocked out. That's how football is. It's a dictatorship. In boxing, as we saw with David Haye and Derek Chisora, the boxing board said, "Oh, well, you're suspended." They just stuck two fingers up and went and ran their event anyway. They got another governing body to come in, who happily came in and administrated the event. And it's not just because of the governing bodies, because the main difference for me is that football, okay, the Arsenal goes in the FA Cup. It's not Thierry Henry goes in the FA Cup, or Dennis Bergkamp goes in the FA Cup, or any player goes in the FA. It's the team. And so if one player decides to go a completely different direction to what he was asked initially, or what he agreed to initially, the competition still goes on, just he won't take part. But the team will still be there, and the supporters will still show up, and the event will start at 3 o'clock on this particular day. And that's the certitude that you have with, like, say, the Premier League. Okay, as a broadcaster, we're getting X amount of dates, which are all pre-arranged at the start of the year, and at 3 o'clock on that Saturday, that game will take place. We know that. Right, in boxing you don't, because one fighter gets injured, the whole event can be off. One fighter decides that he wants like double the wages, even after he's signed a contract. Can happen. Believe me, it does happen, and that makes it risky. In football, it's much more tighter regulated, and the governing bodies do have more clout. That's the truth. And so, as an investor, if you had that 50 billion, you'd say, okay, well, coming into to football is more of a responsible investment rather than coming into boxing. So for Leonard Blavatnik to be sort of reaching out, that spells out to me at this particular moment, because even if someone does come in and say, yeah, I'm going to invest, they're not going to hit him at the top end of what it's worth. They're going to come in at they'll hold him to ransom. They'll say, okay, well, I'll take it off you, but it's going to be for this. And it'll be some extremely low price. I can't imagine anyone coming in saying, yeah, I'm going to pay over the odds for it, because it's a gamble. That is unfortunately just the truth of the situation at the moment. Boxing is a gamble, and it's a gamble that I think a lot of big investors will say is not worth taking. So this is where we are now, and it doesn't spell well for Eddie Hearn. Eddie's picked up a lot of stick as well because of he was definitely overpaying. I mean, I've not seen contracts, but I've heard so many people that have said he's just paid complete madness over the top money for fights. But the thing is, from Eddie's side, he has to penetrate this business. He needs to get through. He has to get his position, because if he goes to the fighters, he goes to GGG, oh, by the way, the money won't be as good as what you're on at the moment. I know GGG's manager. He was straight away, well, we're not coming then. And managers, boxing managers, I've got a manager's license. You only get paid by the boxer because you do a job for him. So then you've got to go negotiate to take the worst opponent possible, which then makes it very hard for Eddie to make. So okay, he's got this war chest of money, he's got the DAZN platform, everyone's getting excited about it. GGG signs up. As we've seen, the big fights have not been made on the platform. They haven't happened. It's a fact. They have not happened. And I don't think that's because Eddie doesn't want them to happen. I think that's because the fighters probably come in, they go, yeah, okay, you've got absolute mountains of money, we'll have that. And then they'll wriggle out of those big, the big fights that everyone wants to see. And, it then means that Eddie, I would imagine, will get the blame, because like the figures I heard, let me give you this. This one really, really piqued my interest. Mikey Garcia, $7 million against Jesse Vargas, $3 million. Let me say, those two are very good fighters. It's a fight, definitely. I mean, I watched it, and I would happily watch fights like that all day long. You can't criticise that, but to pay that amount of money, and if he offered less, they'd just say, all right, well, we're not coming, because they'll just stick with more established people. It's a safer bet. Why are we going to go to DAZN? We'll go with, where we already are, we're good. If the money suddenly is much, significantly better like that, yeah, they're going to come. Of course they are. But it's not sustainable. And that's the problem that I think now Eddie's hit the point where the time to blindly pump money in is sort of surely reaching an end. And, well, why else would they be asking for more money? And the fighters... I saw a thing about Eddie was sort of saying, oh, now everyone's got to be more reasonable, we're going to have to bring the wages down. I've never had a boxer come to me and say, what do you want to do in your career? What's important to you? What's important to me is to look after the state of boxing. No, none of them's no boxing's ever said that to me. It's always, get me as much money as you can. I want to be rich. I want for me to have as much money as I can. That's what they pay, man. They don't pay out of the kindness of their heart. Or sometimes they pay very reluctantly, but they do it because you got them more money than what they'd have got if they'd done it on their own. That's what it's about. And now put that into context. GGG's manager isn't going to say, yeah, okay, we'll be more reasonable now. By the way, just give us half of what you gave us last time, and we of course we don't need to dig someone up. We'll go and fight the best pound for pound person you can find first. No manager's ever said that and never will. It's a nice thing for Eddie to say, but I think that's more like protecting himself against the backlash that's going to come when I would imagine Leonard Blavatnik at some point is going to be, well, I'm not just going to keep throwing money in, especially with the uncertainty that's come with this. It's just come at a hideous time for Eddie, this pandemic, because they now have, they've penetrated the market, they now have that position, he has the profile, he has the sort of many of the things that you need, and the business has gone dead. That's the truth of boxing right now. It's as flat as a pancake. And you know, I'm quite optimistic. I think it will move forwards, but what a horrible time to go for, and what a horrible bit of timing for, specifically for the DAZN business. How do they rectify it? Very, very difficult. I mean, it's painful whichever way they move, I think. One thing that I would say though is people sort of saying that Eddie's is this the end of Eddie Hearn? Right. There's a saying in pirate ships where they say a captain goes down with his ship. And maybe it's true in navies or in pirate trips or something. It's not true in boxing promoting. Boxing promoting, the ship goes down. In Eddie's case, probably goes and gets a bit more permatan and a blow dry, and waits for the next silver-sailed ship to roll in, and away he goes again, because that is boxing promoting. Eddie's there purely, he comes in as a businessman. He'll have got paid for what he's done. For my money, he's actually not done a bad job, because, like I say, to penetrate the market, to get DAZN out there, you're going to have to overpay. You can't do it on the cheap. You can't come in and say, and I've had promoters before, I've even had fighters come to me saying, oh, this promoter's been taken, he seems like a really nice guy. And I looked at it, and I had a fighter with Sky, top of the bill Sky fighter that I managed. And the fighter rings me up. First he wanted his contract back. I said, no, you can't have your contract back. You know, I've worked hard to get you to the position where you are. You're now fighting top of the bill on Sky. You have to honour your side of the contract. You know, or you can buy me out. Just offer me money, you can come out of it. He then said, well, the thing is though, these guys, you know, they're doing really good things. It was a new promoter, Sky promoter. They're doing good things, and I'd like to go with them. Spoke to the promoter. Promoter offered us less than what we're already on. So why are we going to go with a new? It's a gamble to go with a new promoter. Why are we going to do that? To come with you for less money? In that particular case, what ended up happening, I ended up just getting paid off and saying, okay, now you go and do your thing. I got my money. You know, good luck to you. But generally, that's not how it works. Generally, the fighters are like that with the money, and they'll be like, you know, it's predictable. Yes, it would be nice if they did say, oh, well, for the good of boxing, you know, or for the good of everyone, but it's just not how it works. You know, look, what I think Eddie's got to do is he's got to find another person to pump loads of money in. And I don't see DAZN collapsing, because I don't think Leonard would let it collapse. And actually, I think it is workable if they can get it. It's not workable maybe paying the amounts that they've been paying, but the difference is that when they first came in, they sort of had to do that, because if they didn't do it, they wouldn't get they wouldn't get their foot in the door. Where they are now, they have got their foot in the door. The thing that you also have to understand though is that I think why they'd have got Eddie involved was Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua's a great fighter, and you know, I watch every single one of his fights and I analyse them all on this blog, you'll see. But he's not massive in America. He's not even really a big name out there. So maybe they were gambling a little bit, because Joshua, I think, is massive in Africa and he's massive in the UK. But DAZN isn't really, you know, DAZN is America. So when they had the fight in Saudi, I was really surprised. That rang alarm bells for me, because I thought, right, you've got a Mexican-American fighting for the world heavyweight title. That's subscribers. That's going to be a lot of people. You know, you can, if you ran the whole press tour through the USA and you built it up and made it a major media sort of event in the US, it would raise the fighters' profiles, Joshua, and also DAZN. It going to Saudi, maybe it was a payoff in the short term, but then did it was it detrimental to DAZN, and are they paying a price for that now? I don't know. I think maybe, you know, you'd have to at least consider that. Anyway, look, like I say, I don't think Eddie's going to sink with the ship. I don't even think that DAZN will crumble. I think, yeah, they have to make adjustments, and I'm sure that they're probably realising that because of the pandemic, as well as the fact that maybe they did overpay people to start with. They now have a position in the market, so they probably have to be a little bit more conservative, but then they're going to be rolling out into new territories and new countries, and I think with that, if they've got the right people behind them, which that they have, even if Leonard is saying, well, it would be nice if someone else could come in and carry the burden now for a little bit. My gut feeling is, look, he made it work with Warner Brothers, and I think he'll make it work with DAZN. I certainly hope that it works out. I hope to see it flying, and I hope to get some of my boxes on there, because it's a big exciting venture. Anyway, guys, lovely to do a blog for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I say, please hit the like and the subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. I always love reading other people's opinions on what I talk about. And see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.